Well, all right. Good morning. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. Pastor Dowell here. Well, got a very interesting video here today. And I guess, this is what happens when you are an American, an informed individual. And I'm going to try my best to give some understanding on this. Every once in a while, I'll get an email that says, what is going on with all these people lying on you, Pastor Dowell? I said, well, you may not like what I'm going to say, but it's going to be the truth. And there's also answers for that. There's also repercussions for that, too, as well. But the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, it protects free speech. And that free speech doesn't have to be based on truth. That free speech could be based on lies. That's the sole purpose of the Constitution. And the only thing that can combat free speech is more free speech. And I know that many people may not like that, but it's a fact. Now, when it comes to defaming someone's character, it's commonly called defamation. And then, of course, there are other legalese terms you can use that you can go after someone who's actually taken on the form of verbal abuse. Now, that can be answered too as well legally. But when it comes to somebody lying on someone, that's freedom of speech. People do it all the time. People lie, they misrepresent, they twist. But man, when they start impugning people's character, that's where freedom of speech, it's no longer freedom of speech because it becomes an attack. You know what I mean? I'll give you just a simple thing. Well, we had a talk the other day and he said that his favorite color was red. Now, that ain't what he told me. He told me his favorite color was blue. Now, I'm telling you right now, he's lying. You see what I mean? That is a form of communication that is challenging certain paradigms. It's challenging certain areas. But it's not personally attacking the person's character. It's not attacking the person's livelihood. It's not affecting them. See, a lot of people, they do a lot of things through emotions and feelings because they're ignorant. They don't have the mental aptitude to understand that there are certain limitations in a free society, in what they call a democracy, which is still a constitutional republic, regardless of what they say. There are certain limitations that nobody can cross. Now, it's up to you to know what to do. Because I'm going to be answering a lot of these speeches that have went out of bounds and went overboard. In my own way. I'm going to be answering them using the law for the lawless. It's coming. But that is a constitutional right as well. You see, you need to understand that since we have the advent of social media and the internet, people have this perceived liberty and freedom, and they don't understand that there are boundaries and limitations. There are boundaries to the left, boundaries to the right. There's certain things you can't do. That's why you see that the homosexuals, the LGBT, I think their acronyms are Q. It's not that they are a respected organization anywhere across the United States of America. They are protected based on the Supreme Court turn around and making the thing that the Bible says is an abomination. It does not teach. The scriptures does not teach man marrying a man and woman marrying a woman. But because society is not built upon the scriptures, society is not built on the Bible. It's not built on a true Hebrew Israelite culture. It's built on American laws. And American laws are their own laws. And so if you're living in this country, America as a country has a right to make its laws. And it's protected these people from defamation or being defaming or having their character being impugned or assassinated. And as a result, you get social media organizations like YouTube and Twitter and I don't know, Instagram and some of these other folks. You notice that people tread very carefully, extremely carefully when it comes to that community. It's amazing how these people have, these so-called righteous people out here have all of this religious conviction, but when it comes to that particular society, that particular quote-unquote chosen way of life, people, man, they get mute on that. They get mute. Now, if you listen to preachers who know how to speak and who know how to get just kind of like right up to the line, but then back off, but still get your point over, and that's what a lot of people are not intelligent in doing today. And so the way that you combat lies is by free speech. And you can, I mean, I've listened to the philosophies of a lot of people over and over again. You just don't have to go about the same way that people do and the same way that people do things. You don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is know the legal system, know how it operates, know how it runs, and use that to your advantage. Because you're not going to speak to people and you expect for them to have common sense, which is so uncommon in this world and this society. The only way that people hear is when they're threatened with jail or you get them in the pocketbook. That's how people start to hear, especially when they're crossing the line. So, and it's just like war. You know, every time we've been to war here in the United States of America, somebody could come and hit us. We didn't give an immediate response because it takes time to get resources. It takes time to get logistics together. It takes time to get the plan drawn up, the plan of attack, which way you're going to go about doing things. And as you're doing that, you're continually gathering intel. And you continue to keep gathering intel. And then when it's time, when you have this prelude to war, then you know you're justified and you can go in. You can go in hard. Now, there's supposed to be rules of engagement because that's what the Geneva Convention says. But all countries, they don't follow the Geneva Convention. Only Americans get jailed for killing terrorists who have killed Americans because you didn't follow their rules and guidelines. And this where, again, it comes in. It comes in when you're not just existing in this world, but you actually know what you're doing. You can't let your emotions and let your feelings override certain things. You can't get into a hissy fit just because someone lied on you. You ain't never been lied on before? Nobody likes being lied upon, but you still, nevertheless, you're not going to stop it. That's just what people do. They're going to do it. You have to pick and choose your reaction or your response in reference to who these people are. If they cross the line, according to the laws, the United States of America, the system has answers for that. It has answers for that. And so I'm trying my best to give people an understanding. That's why you don't see Pastor Dowell. First of all, you need to make sure that you're living your life and not living somebody else's life because they choose to disparage you or attack you. Let people believe what they want to believe. The majority of people out here, they get so caught up in social media that they think the social media platform is Jesus himself, the judge, or the Supreme Court in the United States of America, and it's just their preference and opinion. It can be off, but the Constitution protects freedom of lies, freedom of speech. It protects freedom of truth. It never defines what truth is. Basically, the Constitution says you're free to tell your truth. We're free to disagree with it, and we're free to have a dialogue, and we're free to have conversation. That's all it is. But there are laws, and there are ways you could go about to making sure you harness and hone in those who act like that they spiritually live in a house of ill repute where anything goes. It just doesn't happen like that. And you have to be more intelligent than your enemies. So again, do not allow people to affect you so much so to the point that you end up breaking the law. First of all, be concerned about the law of Yah, number one. And then number two, the law of his land. And the reason being because if you get too dang stirred up and you get baited into something, just one bad decision on a 15-second argument could end you or both of you in a wrong place at the wrong time for the rest of your life. And you got to understand what's at stake. You really, truly do. So I hope that some way, somehow, that I've been able to educate people on this particular subject right here. So now you understand my posture. Pastor Dowell got other ways to handle unlawful people who just don't seem to get it, who they believe that they can trespass. They believe they have liberty to transgress because they don't care. They're not going to follow the law of Yah, and they're not going to follow the law of man. So while we're here on this earth, there's a certain way that you handle people, and you can keep yourself clear and also in a position of strength and power, regardless of what the court of public opinion says. I mean, after all, the court, again, I often say this. Think about your circle. Think about the people who you communicate with. The people who are actually for you are more than they that be against you. And so with that knowledge and understanding, focus on that, because the other side doesn't mean too much or nothing. They're not adding any value or nothing to you. If they choose to want to try to add heartache, pain, and whatever it is to affect your livelihood, if they choose to cross the line and impugn and disparage and your character or something like that, that's their choice. But know this 100%, that, hey, you do that, repercussions because of the laws of this land could be coming right around the corner. You just heard the truth, and the truth straightway. Y'all be encouraged. King coming.